Hey everybody, it's Ron Bass with another edition of Soar High Personal Development, your source for inspiration. Joining me today is Davin Hunley, Brent Atterbury, and Mike Rose, martial artist extraordinaire. Today, we're going to talk about adversity and how to manage adversity. Last podcast, we talked about adversity and got into a lot of the details. So today we're going to talk about how we can deal with adversities, because there's going to be more than one every day. I can promise you that. Okay, gang, what do you have to say about that? Mr. Rose?
Last week was good. And then following it up with it, what are you trying to ask of like a question? What's your question about it?
Well, I mean, we need to kick out some good tools for the folks out there that are struggling with challenges every day. And so I want to talk about the tools that they're going to need to be able to handle these pressures and adversities and struggles on a daily basis.
I know last week we were talking about planning. Planning was a good one. That's a really solid one. What else did we talk about? Davin, do you remember?
I don't remember, but I can tell you an adversity.
I know planning was one of them.
An adversity that we face a lot, at least for me, is not enough time in the day.
But but we need to talk about the tools.
The tools.
So
that our folks out there can get through the day with a smile on their face. By the way, we don't smile because we're happy. We're happy because we smile.
There you go. Okay. So tell me planning. If we're talking, let's go with planning.
Okay, let's talk about planning.
Let's talk about planning.
Okay.
Planning. Okay. So
the deal is, like in my world, I have like a daily schedule. So I plan the day out for business, for fitness, for martial arts, for social time, for sleeping. And I think what happens is in the course of a daytime, you're going to have frustrations and you're going to have distractions. Those are two key words that I think we should even talk about more and more as we go along with our podcast, because those are the things that take you off the track. And the frustrations and the distractions really become adversities if you really boil it all down. Those are the things that, like, I'm having a fight with my wife, or I'm having a fight with my employer, or I don't feel good, or I'm sore from the day before and I don't want to go in the gym today. It's distracting, and it's or your business isn't going well today, or you're having to pay out more money than you're taking in, and you're frustrated. So if you add it all up, those are things that you're going to have to figure out how to manage. That's a key word today. Manage
and planning
in order to stay on track. Because if you don't stay on track, what happens?
You fall over.
You fall over, then crash. That's right.
You run off the track.
You run off the track. Oh, that's a good one. You run off the track. I like that.
Okay, so planning. I remember always asking you, what's the minimum hours of sleep that you need? Talk about sleep first, like starting out the day. What's the minimum?
You need 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
8 hours, baby.
And as you get old, even more than that if you can get it.
If you could get it, right?
If you can get it.
About a bare minimum.
7 to 8 hours, yes.
Functional.
Did we get that last night, Mike?
No, I didn't get that last night.
You guys stayed up late last night doing music. So, but that's
the music business.
Let's talk about that. Look at how dedicated you are to your goals. That's a whole nother subject on a whole nother podcast. So I think we've had that podcast before, but we're going to have more. These podcasts sometimes are going to sound repetitious, but that's okay
good.
Because
that's good.
Our folks out there that are listening need to hear these things over and over and over and over and over again. Because remember, you become what you think about. You become who you surround yourself with. These are laws of psychology. I didn't make that up, but I've lived this way my whole life. I don't just speak from a book. I speak from life's experiences when I talk to the folks out there. And I just want to be able to share some of these experiences and some of these philosophies that I've learned over the years, because it's helped me so much to overcome and to manage adversity. Back full circle to what the podcast is about today.
And before I take all the air in the room, sorry. So
Which you usually do.
No, not me.
No, not you.
That's me.
That's
100% me.
That's Davin.
100% me.
I'm kind of quiet sometimes. Okay, but right now I'm gonna speak.
Okay.
So frustration, and what else did you say?
Frustration
and distraction. Okay, so that goes along with, like, if you're looking for success and like facing adversity, the key thing is don't beg nobody. Don't beg anybody. Don't be looking for that extra support, because you're probably not going to have it. And then when you talk,
who can you count on?
yourself, really. But then you get a couple good guys where
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, yeah. If you're lucky, you get a couple good guys, and you better stick with those good guys and be loyal, because loyalty is next. Because when you have that, then you build a good foundation you can stand on. So it's going to be really solid, and you could face a little bit more challenges because you can branch out and talk to these people, have like an open discussion. You know what I mean? What do they call that? Like, not like, almost like not a listening party, but say like when you're doing business and you're getting like open ideas. What do they call that?
Networking? You're talking
No,
about?
almost
No,
like that.
he
Yeah, yes, something like that. Yes,
masterminds of business.
almost like
yeah.
almost like that, almost, but not like. Okay,
I got you.
But but it's good. It's good to be around those people, and you need to find those people. But if you're hanging around people that don't believe in like your product, then you don't want that at all. But I'm just saying in general, like even if they don't or do, it doesn't matter. You still have to go do it. And regardless, don't beg nobody.
Keep the blinders on.
Keep the blinders.
Look straight ahead.
Yes. That's all I want.
Keep your eyes on the prize.
Yeah, and that's all I wanted to put in when you're talking about frustration. And what's the other one again? Distractions.
What are some of the common distractions, guys, that we all face every day when it comes to women? Or if you're a man, or if you're a woman, if you're a woman, a man.
I like how you said that.
Yes. Relationships anyway. Because there's folks out there that are not heterosexual, so we have to address those folks as well. And look at the adversities that those guys are having to face with, or those women. Look how much social pressure there is on people that are same sex. There's a lot of pressure, and that's wrong. There shouldn't be any prejudice. I'm Jewish. There shouldn't be prejudice against that. What if you're fat? What if you're old? What if you're poor? What if you're ugly? All these. What if all these are there's a lot of prejudice out there in the world. There should be zero prejudice. That's not right, but it exists. So what happens? Makes you feel bad about yourself. Makes you feel like you're a loser when people are critical of you. How does that affect your daily performance?
Or they stereotype you or judge the book by its
Exactly.
cover.
So to you folks out there that are listening that can relate to this, I say this to you: keep the blinders on, move straight ahead. Don't worry about the haters. Actually, I was telling Mike last night, the more haters you have, the more that tells you you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Because people are jealous generally that you're willing to be confident enough to move forward in your life in spite of all these adversities. Brent, you're awfully quiet today. What do you got to say about all this?
He's soaking it all in.
I'm listening.
He's soaking it in.
No, going back to talking about planning, I'm a list guy. I like to make lists. And I make the list with reasonable expectations of being able to get them done that week. And I have to do this because if I don't, then I get a call from a client, or I get an email, or I get something blows up that I could have prevented if I would have just been proactive and did what I was really supposed to do. So the list keeps me on track, keeps everything running smooth. It prevents a lot of distractions, even though there's lots of distractions that go on during the course of any day or of any week. To get that list done, I do everything I can and typically always get the list done. And it does make for a smooth week of work for me.
I concur with you. I also agree with having a list. And at the end of the day, if the list isn't all checked off, guess what? I start the list again the next morning.
Yeah.
So it's an endless list. That's interesting. An endless list. I've been hanging around Mike too long, who's the rapper, because he always has these, what is it called?
Alliteration.
Yeah. I amaze myself.
Alliteration.
I'm the only one that laughs at my own humor, though, so I must be doing something wrong.
No.
Oh, well.
No, that's when you're doing something right.
That's funny. So along the lines of what Brent was just saying, I find this to be interesting. In the course of the day, as I go through the process of getting through the day, I find that I have to adjust often my schedule. And back to Brent's idea of the schedule, making the list, back to Mike, planning.
Which I got planning from Brent,
schedule,
actually.
and having a schedule. You have to adjust sometimes. Like I mentioned this the other day on one of the podcasts, that a lot of times during the course of the day, I'll go to the gym and I won't be able to be on time according to my schedule because my office is so demanding. But I still go to the gym. How? I just have to adjust my time schedule. I get to the gym. Maybe I don't want to dress out. Maybe I go in with my work clothes on, and people are looking at me like, who's this guy in there with a tie working out? But you know what? You can't pay attention to things like that. You have to do what you have to do to get the job done.
By your means.
Yes.
Do you really work out with a tie on?
I really do.
Yes.
Oftentimes.
I have never seen that before.
He went into the dojo, and he's multiple. I know it's the first time you've seen it, but multiple times sometimes he would train like this. Sometimes on the fly he would train with his suit and tie on.
So do you consider your tie a weapon?
It could be easily.
It could be a weapon, yes.
It could be used against him or with him.
And I'm not encouraging people to do what I do, but I'm just making the point that in my world, for my benefit, I've learned to adjust, and I would encourage everybody out there listening to consider what I'm suggesting. In other words, don't not do something because it's inconvenient. Figure out a way to adjust your schedule, adjust your circumstances, adjust your means to still get to the end. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope people are listening that really want to improve their lives today and then can take something from what we're talking about at this podcast. And as we go forward on a weekly basis, Soar High Personal Development was created as a way for people to
A tool.
learn from what our life's experiences are to improve their life and to find a way to move forward whenever maybe they don't feel like moving forward. Maybe they just want to throw in the towel. We want to be inspiration for people. And that's our goal every day here with Soar High Personal Development.
And you're a great inspiration.
Well, thank you, sir.
For the podcast.
I appreciate that.
And if anybody met you in real life, they would see it.
Well, thank you, sir.
And that you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. And that's why we're reaching out to the world.
That's awfully nice of you to say. And you're becoming the same person. I mean, look at your dojo as you're 1 year in now, and how much you've grown with your martial arts business, and how your kids, particularly the kids, well, the adults as well, look up to you and hang on every word that you say. It's not just the way you teach people how to be martial artists, but it's your philosophy on how to live their life and how important it is to be to train and to improve themselves and the self-confidence that goes with it, et cetera, et cetera. Davin, what do you got to say about all this?
Oh, man. I mean, adversity, like we said last week, is just growing pains. Like every day you run into something new, something will always come up.
Old or new.
Yeah, and it'll always come up, something. And I mean, every day that I try to do the list, like Brent said, there will be something that pops up in the middle that says, hey, can you come do this for me? Or, hey, I want to do this. And, you want to take that break every so often, but you need to have those days where you take a break, not in the middle of a day where you have 5 or 6 different things that you need to get done within the span of, we'll say, 15 hours. I mean, you just can't do that. I mean, sometimes it takes me a whole day to do one thing, just because everything's popping up at once. So,
well, the time management discussion, that's a whole nother podcast as well. And people often will say, hey, I don't have time to do this and time to do that. What they're really saying is, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. It's not that important to me. But in the end, if you set a goal, we talked about this in another podcast, write your goals down on the back of a business card, date them and sign them. So it's a legal binding contract to yourself. And you'll be amazed if you touch that card 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times a day, how it becomes
a jolt.
Yeah, and it'll surprise you how you'll start finding yourself doing things to get to those goals, and you'll start feeling obsessed with that process. And it's because the law of psychology is you become what you think about. That's a law. That's not a theory. That's a law. Just like standing at the top of a building and dropping a glass of water, it's going to hit the ground like gravity. So you become what you think about. Another comment I'd like to make, or another point I'd like to make about the idea of managing adversity, is self-talk. I do this a lot during the course of the day, and you don't have to do it out loud, but you can just talk to yourself, like in your silently, and you can say things to yourself like, okay, this isn't going well, and I'm not happy about that, but you know what? I'm luckier than the average guy. I'm not going to give up on my goals. Yeah, this is tough, but you know what? I got to keep moving. I have to keep following the rules. I have to keep pulling the trigger. I gotta go. I gotta do this. I can't give up on that. Okay, I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to keep moving. So self-talk is really almost like your own counselor to yourself. Willpower. Yes.
Some people have it. Some people, that's a great point. Some people don't have that. They need to have that self-talk.
But everybody can do that.
Well, and Ron, you said you don't have to say it out loud, but I think sometimes when you do say it out loud, then it becomes more real. It can become especially if you repeat it.
Good point.
So if you say something over and over and over, you're more likely to remember it. That's just memory science in marketing.
Yes.
So I think even sometimes just saying it out loud is important.
Well, speaking of saying it out loud, the other thing I want to say is along the lines of you become what you think about as you become who you surround yourself with. So at the same time you're thinking about these things, it's important to hang out with people that you want to become like. Like I hang out with Mike. He's a great martial artist. So the more I hang out with him, the more likely I am to improve my martial arts game or skills. And that's just the way it works in life. If I want to be a better marketing guy, I need to hang out with, well, I guess Brent. I guess he'd be a good example.
Yes, me. Just kidding.
You're like, it's me.
My marketing guru, Brent Atterbury. We've been together, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, 2 or 3, 4 years, 100 years,
Yeah,
I
100.
guess. Yeah.
Wow.
You're dating me now. You're dating me now.
Wow.
Everybody needs a good marketing source.
Absolutely.
I thought I knew a lot when I met Brent, but he's taught me a lot about
he laid down the
marketing.
law.
Yeah, he laid
He's
down
the law.
Yeah.
The law.
Yeah. So let's kind of recap a little bit. Managing adversity. We talked about a lot of things today. We talked about frustration, distractions. We talked about making lists, keeping on a schedule.
Checking it
about
twice.
time management. We talk about how to
Okay,
adjust
Santa.
our schedule during the course of the day and not give up on the goals. These, goal setting is so important. I talk about this all the time to my friends, and really all we're doing with the podcast is going from being informal with my friends to being formal, or a little bit, maybe it's really not formal. It's mostly informal the way we do our podcast, and reaching out to the world and hopefully helping a few people to stay on track and not give up. That's really what this is all about. And I'm not, hell, I only made it to 1 semester in college, or 2 semesters. I got kicked out my 2nd semester in college. So I'm not a well-educated guy. I'm a street guy in terms of what I've learned in my career, basically just through experience and lots of failures, a lot of failures.
School of Hard Knocks.
School of Hard Knocks.
School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah. And I've always been a slow learner. I'm the guy that never picked up anything quick. But I'm also stubborn, and I never gave up. And so here we are today, moving forward with a number of projects and in our business world. But I'm probably most proud of this project because this way we'll be able to reach out and help a lot of people that are listening. Hopefully a lot of people are listening today. So any rate, I guess we're going to wrap things up. We've probably bored people enough as it is already. Anybody else got something to say before we close out?
No. Thank you for recapping on this. It was
Okay,
good.
cool.
I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, so listen to these podcasts. You can also go to our website if you want to. Our
Listen to last
podcasts are on
week's.
there as
Listen to
well.
last week's to tie into this one for
Yeah,
sure.
soarhighpersonaldevelopment.com, and there's also blogs on there and some contact information if you want to do that. Facebook, we advertise Answers for Your Life is our Facebook page. And any rate, we'll be off the air here in just a few minutes, but back on the air for you next week. And for all my friends and colleagues, thanks for listening and have a great day. Thanks for listening.